Good morning. I've had to get a new stick. Reason I've had to get a new stick. Let's have a look where I'm walking here. Think I'll have a little walk round the province. My other one's broke by the looks on it. So I'm in a different province this morning. What I actually found very funny is... Just a moment. This morning we come round this corner, this bend. And I always slow down to about 4 kilometres an hour, and there were loads of dogs, and they were all like scattered, not scattered, they all sat in their own little regimental way, so to speak. And I had to laugh because there were that many on them, and Joe and William were laughing, and I said, where's all these dogs come from? And as I've walked this way, I'm not going to go to the river, and I'm just going to walk this way for a long way towards them mountains. So, you know, I thought that were really funny. And dogs followed me, a friend's dogs followed me, and I tried to send them back. So they got in a fight. And little one, I think he's about 6 months old. He might be knocking on a little bit older. And as I walked just on from their house, not very far away, talking about what, 100 metres, he got attacked. So he got attacked by 2 dogs. There's only a pup, but they still attacked him, and I had to go back with stick, and other one joined in, and he basically knocked him off. And you know, I thought, well, if they'll attack, they will attack a pup. You know, so even big dogs will attack pups. So if you've got puppies, you have to be a bit careful. But I thought that were really funny this morning. You know, all dogs all over the road. This is where we are, look. And these bikubus here, I mean, probably this road, sooner or later, probably not, might get put into concrete. And because it's getting quite built up, this area. And there's quite a lot of foreigners here, so they tell me, have I seen any foreigners here? No, but there is a few here. And like I said, you don't see a lot of foreigners because they drive. You know, they're driving. Looks like a good piece of bamboo. Oh, it's not bamboo. Right, so I'm just going to have a little walk. So, you know, that's it. Saturday morning, like a zombie. Dog barking all night. Kept telling it to shut up. And, you know, I'm okay when I get out, you know. And like I said, when you come to the Philippines, I suppose if you're like a lazy person, you'll be okay. But if you're a person that's physical and you like to walk a lot and you like to be doing something all the time, you know, you will get bored here, depending where you are. So if you do head for Philippines, you know, I mean, it's entirely up to you how you do it. You can actually go from island to island if you've got the brass. And I think that's how I'd do it next time, actually. Oh, mountain bikers, three on them, 4 on them. So they'll head over towards Miles. This heads over towards Miles. But it's a long walk from here. So, you know, island to island's a good idea. But, you know, thought I'd get myself an heavy stick. Right, like I said, look, see? So, there's quite a lot of banana plantations here as well. So, there is quite a lot of banana plantations. And there's a lot of fruit trees. And what the guys actually do here, you know, they might work in Bacolod City. They come here, they buy a bit of land. This is what's happening a lot, I've actually seen. You know, I've seen this happening a lot now in Philippines, especially here on Negros. They come, right, they buy some land when it's cheap. Well, probably not cheap, you know, for them, but when it's cheap. And what they'll do, some people, they'll sell that land for twice more. And what other people might do is they'll buy this land. Morning!
Good morning!
Good morning! So they'll buy land cheap, and what they'll do is they'll still keep a job. See what I mean? They'll keep a job, And what the job will do, they'll come once a week, see how it's looked after, but there's no one here. There's no one here as far as I can tell. There's a bike oboe, and what they'll do is they'll come and after work, maybe once a week, once a month, they'll cut the grass, they'll look at the plants, and you know, they'll take care of it, then they'll go back to the work. And I'm sure what will happen is, can you hear music? I'm sure what will happen is, you know, they'll turn it into a plantation. So that's what they'll do. They'll turn it into a plantation for some money. Right, that's where we are, look. And I was just thinking, all this sugar cane, you know, where we are, it's not exactly fantastic sugar cane, because what happens with sugar cane is, that's all you see, sugar cane. Morning. But once upon a time, Mercia, if you go into Plaza, there's all these big trees, and a lot of them are healing trees. And I know for a fact when I've seen these trees, they're hundreds of years old. And you can tell, once upon a time here on Mercia, it used to be all jungle. But what happened was, that stuff, that's what happened, look, see? Don't know that bit of scrubland belongs to, but it belongs to someone. So sugar barons moved in, and that's what they did, obviously. They must have logged it. And I can remember we were in San Carlos last year, and I like to go to San Carlos. Don Salvador, sorry, not San Carlos, we were in Don Salvador. And I can remember went up to Eco Park, and it's up in mountains, and it's how it used to be. It can't be farmed because it's mountains. Now, if it wasn't mountains, it would be farmed. But it's still got its beauty. It's still a mountain with lots of trees on it, and it's got cliffs. And like I said, thank God for that. So, you know, when we went up there, I don't know if it was government, they built a resort. And somebody contacted me actually. Let's have a look what that is. And someone contacted me, and I did a video on this resort up in Don Salvador. And he said, yeah, I used to work up there in Don Salvador, and we were planting trees. So government, I hope this is, you know, it looks really dark, this phone. So the government actually paid this guy. Now then, that guy's walked off. Right. So government actually paid these guys. He sent me a message on Messenger. In fact, it might have been actually on YouTube. So it could still be on there, message somewhere. And what he said was they paid him and a crew to tree it all up and plant a lot of rare trees. And that's what government can do, can't they? You know, they can come and you can have a beauty spot, and they'll just rip it apart, won't they? You know, they don't care, and they don't think about future generations. And obviously now, you know, there's a lot of people what will say, oh, they can't do that, they can't do this, they can't do that. Well, actually they can, because this is England now I'm going to chat about. England's quite criminal, you know. There's two rules, one for you and then one for the money. And they clash you different, don't they? And the way they'll clash you different is, let's let this guy, good morning.
Morning.
It's not too bad. So, what was I going to say? So they'll clash you different. Now, a little example, and it's similar how things work. Look at that, look. See, it's got a big house there. So there's some really nice spots out here on this place. Right, there's a lady called Tara Tompkins. She's a lady in London. I think she comes from Wealth. Can't remember what she were into. One time or another, she were always in papers. Can't remember what for. Whether she's, I don't know, can't remember what she was. Tara Tompkins. And she was a coke addict. And she used to do, let me get this. See? So you want a little four-wheel drive if you can afford it. So we'll let this get past, because I'm sure he's coming this way. Is he? Aye, I thought he was. Better look. We'd better look. Morning! That's what I will get next time. Don't buy a motorbike. Right, so Tara Tompkins, she was a cokehead. And what she did, right, she was on cocaine. And she did about 3,000 or 4,000 quid a week on cocaine. Right, and because I think she was a celebrity, I don't know if it was fashion. And oh, poor Tara. I mean, she might be a nice lady, you know, she might be a nice lady. It's just an example. You know, she was on coke and she'd got this. She was from wealth, big wealth. Poor Tara. Right, so poor Tara. Now, someone from Barnsley were on coke and she was a nice lass. And she were on 400 quid habit a week. And she got caught shoplifting. Now they take her to town, won't they? You know, that's where I'm going to walk. Just going to keep walking that way towards them mountains. So they take her to town, won't they? Well, it'd be, say they call this girl Gillian. Oh, Gillian being caught shoplifting. Oh, Gillian this, that. And she's gone to prison. And she's a bad woman and she's a bad girl. She would be a bad person, wouldn't she? Even if she were a good person. And they'd make an example of her, wouldn't they? You know, and she'd be like, from a, you know, now Tara Tompkins, right, she's from a better family. She's probably from a lovely family, because she seemed quite a nice lady, Tara Tompkins, but she just got into coke. And we all make mistakes, as I've said before. But this is just an example, as I remember from a long time back. Now this girl, you know, well, her mum works in Asda and her dad works as a lorry driver, just say. And, you know, they take her to town and her parents would be low class, wouldn't they? But really, they're not low class, are they? They're working class. And, you know, so there's this snobbery up and down, isn't there? Just check behind me. Right, so there's this snobbery, because I can't see on this phone whatsoever. So there's this snobbery, you know, if you're from wealth, you know, you've got, they don't class you different. The upper class you different, right? They don't, so money will class you different. And that's just where things are. Now, what's happening in England, which you won't believe me, and you won't believe anyone, would you? You know, if they said, oh, there's going to be all these invaders, and they're not immigrants, and they're not running away from a war, they're not bringing women and children, they're actually dangerous immigrants, right? Infiltrators, that's what I call them. And they're all in England. And you won't believe it, would you? If somebody said to you, well, we're going to spend all these billions of taxpayers' money, they think this guy's a bit, you know, he's not normal. This guy's not normal. Government's not going to be doing this. And what would reason be? Well, there's only one reason I can actually work it out. And it's not hard to work. Well, it's hard to work out, to be honest. But the reason is actually money. It's always money. And they've never got enough on it, have they? And it's your money, British public. It's your money. And it's your future. And you're standing up for each other now. And you're going to do some Ireland. You know, when I saw Ireland, I can remember a long time back, IRA. And I can remember IRA. And England and IRA. Now, a lot of you guys that don't know IRA, Northern Republican Army. And they were quite bad dudes, quite bad lads, you know, killing, blowing people up, you know. And it were a war in Ireland, Protestants, Catholics, and it were a war in England, but that got sorted out. And, you know, it's safe, it was safe to go to Ireland. And I know IRA wanted to kick back off, right? And Ireland want the country back, but, you know, so to speak, now it's same in Ireland, it's got a lot of invaders, like all over Europe. They don't want it, do they? So now they're hitting back, they're burning them out, they're firing them out. It'll be murder next and start killing and shooting. This'll come to UK. It probably has in a small, I don't know about it, but I'm sure it has. I'm sure it has in a small way. But civil war, they're on about civil war. Of course it's going to be a civil war. What do you expect? There will be civil war and there will be big consequences, because you just cannot keep doing that. I'm going to walk to the end of this road and then I'm just going to have a look where. I know exactly where we are, but it looks like I've got miles and miles to walk, so it's not so bad this morning. It's not so hot. I can see that coming, look. Right, so that's going to be England. Let's have a look. Like I said, I hope this video turns out okay. So you won't believe it, would you? You know, all these millions and billions being spent on keeping these invaders in England, putting them up in hotels, and all this baloney about we need them. Well, let's just have a look at it. I hope there's no snakes. Morning!
Morning!
Probably going to Mercia. I think that's only tricycles either that's pulled over. So maybe he's passed his test, because there is some bad ones. Right, so you know, where was we? Right, just a moment, guys. As far as I can remember is, you know, you won't believe it, would you, putting them up in hotels and one thing and another, and it's your money, British public. Now, why would a government do that? Why would an handful of people do that? Well, they live in luxury, they've got all this money. When they retire, they'll be on 100, I don't know if it's 120, 160 grand a year when they've retired. When they leave government, which is all wrong. It's all wrong. And a handful of people ruining country. And it's got to be one thing. It's got to be money. It's corrupt. We've got a corrupt government. And it's got to be said, police force too. And they'll just do, you know. I mean, there's good police officers and bad police officers. Obviously, we need them, but we don't need them, you know, things what police are actually doing. You know, they're pulling people up and they're telling you, you can't do this if you're a Christian, you can't pray, you can't voice in public. But all these Muslims are doing it. And I've said before what I think about Muslims. Very, very, very dangerous people. And I won't trust them as far as I could throw them. And they don't belong in England. And all these rape gangs will go with Rotherham, because that's very close to me. And, you know, there's somebody speeding on. So, let's this guy get past. Now, I don't know what bike that is, but he stood up on it. Don't know what it is. It's a 4-stroke, don't know. Sounds like a 250. Ah, they're Enduros. Have a look. Morning! Have a look. Morning! CRF. Now, I don't know if that CRF were a 155. Could be a 300, because some of these guys here, they're millionaires. They're not millionaires, they're multi-millionaires. They are, oh look, money, sugar barons. So it's quite corrupt, England. And just ridiculous. And unless you, Joe Public, stand up for your rights, and unless you do something, you know, you have to overthrow government. And you can't sit on your arse. And all you hear, right, is this. You know, all you hear is, you know, invaders coming, not invaders, they don't call, they're invaders, they're coming over on boats. Invaders coming over on boats. Well, they will keep coming and coming and coming. They won't stop, will they? Because government are putting them up and funding them, putting them in hotels. Why you, the British public, Even soldiers live on the street. You've got no eating money, you've got no bills, you can't afford to live properly. If you're retired, you're working your ass off for nothing. It's all being given away to spongers, and then they'll just keep coming and coming, and they won't stop, and naughts being done. And then they'll blame French Navy. Oh, French Navy this, French Navy that. Stop paying French Navy. We've got his own navy, we've got his own army. Where are they? And they don't see it as a problem. So what's really going off? Is it because they're skimming money, right? They're obviously buggering country up, right? But what they're doing are they're skimming that money into the pocket. And that's what I actually think's happening. I think a lot of it's getting skimmed and scammed, and nothing's getting done. They just talk a load of crap. It's per normal. So, you know, that's England. That's England. It's getting invaded. Right, so just a moment, this is where we are. I can see a load of dogs there on path. I don't know if the dogs, there might be sheep. In fact, I know if I walk to that wood there, I know for a fact there's going to be a river there, because I've been down here before on bike. Right, so you've got me drift. You know, England. Why would they do that? Why would they keep bringing them over? And just think about this one. They're saying that we need them for work. We don't need them for work. Can train us on people. There's a lot of unemployed. You could give them a job, but you're not doing. So what is really going off? Right, I tell you what I actually think.